Democrats unveiled their latest version of the Green New Deal on Thursday, but despite some concessions to reality, this version is still little more than socialism masked as environmental policy. But that didn't stop the media from fawning all over it. Where was the fact-checking when you need it?
How do you envision financing this? Is it all through government? Is it just, how are you envisioning financing it that it doesn't end up with the rank and file taxpayer?
So there's a couple of things. One is that I think one way that the right does try to mischaracterize what we're doing as though it's like some kind of massive government takeover. Obviously, what we're trying to do is, well, obviously it's not that, because what we're trying to do is release the investments from the federal government to mobilize those resources across the country. So how do we get there? It can come across a wide range of things. It could be Tennessee Valley Authority style public programs, but it could also be public-private partnerships. It can work down on a municipal level. There could be some potential contracting involved. So it's not as though the federal government's going to wave a wand and say, we're going to do it all ourselves. Secondly, I think one of the big issues, too, is that we have to really address the fact that there's been this broken metaphor of the government as this one-in, one-out piggy bank that Republicans like to say applies to Democratic programs, but when it's their turn at the helm, they just cut whatever check that they want to cut, which is what they did with the tax cut bill. However, the tax cut bill, they lied about in terms of saying that it will generate economic activity. We know that for every dollar you cut in taxes, you get just a couple cents back. But for every dollar that you invest in infrastructure, in building, in jobs, you get more than $1 back.
Why didn't MSNBC's Chuck Todd fact-check Representative Ocasio-Cortez, an avowed Democratic socialist, when she said that this isn't, quote, some massive government takeover? Most media reports focus on the threat of climate change and how this was an aggressive plan to tackle it, but they glanced over its more radical and ultimately absurd proposals that had far less to do with environmental policy and far more to do with carrying out a far-left social and economic transformation of America. ABC News reported, quote, the wide-reaching proposal calls not just for a massive overhaul of the nation's energy sector over the next 10 years, but also invests in the country's education, infrastructure, and healthcare systems, and a redesign of the entire U.S. economy. This is an understatement. Among other things, the Green New Deal calls for the elimination of air travel through the development of high-speed trains, because the California Bullet Train project is going oh so well. Elimination of cars, the greening of every building in America, and even floats the idea of getting rid of meat. Again, this would all be accomplished in 10 years. And that's not all. It includes a grab bag of far-left goodies, such as national health care for all, and a jobs guarantee for those unable and, this is actually in the text of the frequently asked questions, quote, unwilling to work. Yes, the authors of the Green New Deal want to replace the nation of the self-made man with the unrepentant mooch. It would seem that a proposal which has received so much coverage, and from a freshman member of Congress who has been showered with attention, will receive a little more scrutiny. The fact is, Ocasio-Cortez and the socialist ideas she espouses are looked upon favorably by many in the press, which is why they are happy to give her cover even though they know her ideas are absurd. When even Speaker Nancy Pelosi clearly mocked the proposal, calling it the, quote, green dream, the press was willing to quickly brush over this as if she was actually praising the Green New Deal. Politico actually buried this line at the bottom of its coverage, despite the fact that an attack by the most powerful Democrat in Congress, and the person most needed to bring the plan to reality in the House, just mocked it and dismissed it. This week, the media was busy fact-checking whether or not Jewish people believe in heaven in response to President Trump's State of the Union address. Yes, that really happened. But where was the same fact-checking during the release of the media darling's Green New Deal? Perhaps this explains why President Trump defiantly added this line to the State of the Union.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Sadly, these days, that needs to be said.